Hello and welcome back to Getaway Day for the second time. As always, I am Mason, he is Gautam, and we are here to talk about all things April baseball. Gautam,
Yay.
what is your favorite thing about April baseball?
Favorite thing about April baseball is just being dead wrong about players like Jeffrey Springs, who I thought would be good, and he's getting just destroyed by the Chicago White Sox. Like things like that are what make April baseball exciting for me because it's like been thinking about this stuff like as we lead up to the season, and then every April there's just like the biggest surprises and like the Jeffrey Springs one is not really like that big a surprise, but there's other examples of just knock your socks off. Like you don't really see this one coming, and
Well, and
that's what I like about it.
I've actually got one example of that for you. Um, a little known guy who's been on two or three different teams now. Three different teams now. Started out with the Dodgers, made his debut in 2020, went and played half a season for the Cubs in 2022, is now in his third season with Detroit. Zach McKinstry is having a spectacular April.
Yeah.
So McKinstry, now, mind you, some of this is very much luck, given that he's got a 431 BABIP. So he's getting a little bit of help there from the baseball gods. But McKinstry right now has a 166 WRC plus. He is a top 10 hitter in baseball right now. He's only got one home run, but he's got a 325 average. He's got a couple of triples. He's got a lot of doubles. Like he's able to keep his slug up with his speed. And the man's 30 years old. He's never been better than 9% worse than the average major leaguer in his career. Never been better than that. And right now he is 66% better than average through 1 month of the season.
That's a great example because we can be happy for Zach McKinstry, but we can also, I can be the guy that rains on the parade and says, look at his career numbers. Like this is probably not going to keep up, but if it did, it would be very cool. It would be a very big story.
So every projection system is saying that he has more WAR now in 1 month than he will accumulate the entire rest of the season. Yep. And while he may continue to outperform for a bit and may break that projection specifically, he will end up falling back to earth. This may be an improved Zach McKinstry this year. I mean, he's finally getting regular ABs. Like he only played basically half a season's worth of ABs in 120 games last year. So he was mostly a defensive replacement. He's not really had a ton of leeway, but he's playing in a way right now that's going to continue to get him at bats, which could help him to continue to excel and surpass all these expectations. But yeah, I thought that was too perfect of an example to not just throw that out right off the bat.
No, it was great.
So I think today we're going to do this a little bit of a monthly wrap-up sort of way. So as you mentioned, we've been wrong about some things. But we've also been right about some things, and I think it's important that we look at both the good and the bad, what we got right, what we got wrong. And I think maybe the best spot to do that is to look at the leaderboards, the standings, and just look at the top. And who do we have at the top? At 19-9? Do you know?
That's the Mets.
It is the New York Mets. Does that surprise us?
Doesn't surprise me, but I do think they're playing beyond their record. I haven't been totally impressed by the Mets. Like they are a good team, but it's not like they're just firing on all cylinders, which maybe is a good sign for how the rest of the season could go for the Mets, because even as they sort of make their way with some okay performances from like Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, the rest of the supporting cast is seemingly doing enough, and now they're getting healthier with like Jeff McNeil and Francisco Alvarez coming back. So I think it's all good news for the Mets, but to me, they're not like the most impressive team of April, even though their record says they're number one.
Yeah, but I think it is important to take a look and see kind of what's going right for them. And what's going right for them is Pete Alonso. Straight up. Pete Alonso has been awesome so far this year. 333, 444, 656 with 6 home runs. The man is not striking out. He is walking a ton. And Pete looks every bit the slugger that earned the contract that, which I can't remember what the contract was, but
he didn't get the big contract, and that's the big takeaway. He got the the 2-year deal,
right.
and he's got the opt out, and he's clearly looking to capitalize in free agency come next year.
And right now, it's looking like he's going to be able to do exactly that.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, Pete is, I think, the overall leaderboards, I think he is the number 2 hitter in baseball right now, behind only Aaron Judge. So, like, he is on an absolute tear here to open the season. And he is kind of single-handedly pushing the Mets into the win column most days, it seems. Now, Lindor has played pretty well so far. He's not played superstar level yet, but he's still 141 WRC plus, a 314 average, 5 home runs, a couple steals. Like, Lindor is getting it done.
I'd say that's superstar, right? That he's just doing his thing.
Well, yeah. But Soto is the key. Soto has not really done anything yet. Like, he's hit 3 home runs, and I kind of expect him to hit fewer home runs this year than last year, since he doesn't have the short porch in Yankee Stadium. This is a bigger stadium. It's a new stadium, a new team, and I know how that's been going for players the last couple of years. The adjustment period is kind of hampering him, but he's still an above average hitter.
That's the funny thing. We always talk about, like, oh, Soto is not doing anything, but he's still 10% better than average, and we know that he's going to get going. Like, I have zero concern about him,
and he's still walking 16% of the time.
Yeah,
that's an insane amount of walks. Like, he's hitting 235 with a 356 on base. So yeah, give it time, he'll be there. But I think, to me, the biggest thing has been just the play from Luis Angel Acuna at second base. I think he's done an incredible job at coming in as a rookie, and he's not blowing the doors off of the major leagues or anything, but we're getting to see his glove, we're getting to see his speed, and we're seeing the tools that got Acuna up in the organization down in Texas before he was traded over to the Mets here. But I do think that he is going to be one of the better players here on this club by the end of the year. So
yeah, and they should probably play him more. It seems like he's losing his job as Jeff McNeil comes back. I think he's already a better player than Jeff McNeil right now. So
I think I'm a better player than Jeff McNeil.
Yeah.
So. But then again, we all know I don't like Jeff McNeil. So am I biased? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But it's interesting just to see that even though they've got the best record in the league, and we talked about the guys that have been playing well, overall, they're kind of being buoyed by Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, because overall it's a 98 WRC plus, good for 17th in the league. So it's kind of interesting that they're floating, and they're doing more than floating. They've got the best record.
Well, and they just got Francisco Alvarez back here about 2 days ago. And he's already come out. He's hit his first bomb of the year in his 5th plate appearance of the season. And I think getting him back is going to help the rotation. I think it's going to help on the offensive production side. So I think it's just the Mets getting healthy is kind of the key for them to keep rolling. And their pitching staff has been in a little bit of a similar situation, has it not? With like Kodai is healthy now, but there was a lot of questions here at the beginning of the season as far as like who's healthy, who's going to be on. And so far the team has pitched to 2.36 ERA, combined ERA. Like, they're looking really good. between Holmes and Tyler Megill, Kodai Senga, and Griffin Canning, they've got a significant number of innings here. Like they're averaging over 5 innings a start early, which is a really good sign. And they've not really been bit by the home run bugaboo or anything like that. So it seems like the pitching staff is probably overperforming what we can expect from them season wide. But it is helping to buoy the lack of production from guys like Brett Beatty, guys like I can't remember any of their names. Mark Vientos, there we go. Yeah. Brandon Nimmo, Winker, like once those guys start going, we'll probably also see Griffin Canning will probably end up with that low 4 ERA that I think he's pretty used to. And we'll start to see some of these guys kind of revert back to normal. But anything else on the Mets?
I don't think so.
So I think the surprising bit to me here is not who's at the top of the standings, it's who's second. And there are 2 teams that are one or like half of a measly game behind the New York Mets. And neither of these teams are the teams that I expected to even win their division, let alone be at the top of the major league standings. One of those being the Detroit Tigers, the other being the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Tigers because I think they're a really exciting team to watch right now. They've been winning a lot of games, obviously, based on their record. They are getting the breakout of Spencer Torkelson. Finally. It's finally happening. It seemed like it was happening in 2023 in the second half. Everybody was excited going into 2024, and then he sort of flopped. And he even got sent down to the minors. And to start this spring training, it looked like he was on the outskirts of even making the roster. And the only reason he really made the roster is because there were various injuries in their outfield, and they were trying him out in the outfield. And it was like, okay, here we go. One more try with Spencer Torkelson. And that's the thing about number 1 overall picks. They always get more chances than any other players on the roster because they've got that pedigree. The team's already invested so much. It's like a sunk cost situation, but that's the reason why they continue to get opportunities. We're seeing it in Pittsburgh with Henry Davis, who was not launched as a big leaguer, but they're going to keep trying it until the last possible moment. And in Detroit's case, it's worked out with Spencer Torkelson because he's just crushing the baseball right now. He's like hitting for power. He's making more contact than before. I mean, everything looks good. This is what he was supposed to be.
Yeah. And like Torque he's already at 8 home runs, which the lead right now is a man by the name of Eugenio Suarez. And
there's a guy who also has 10. There's another guy who has 10. That's Cal Raleigh.
Oh, Cal has 10 now? Did he hit his 10th today?
He did.
Okay, that's why I didn't see it, because it hadn't updated in Fangraphs yet. And I did not watch that game, admittedly. But Gino, it took him a 4-homer game yesterday to get to the lead in home runs. So
yeah,
Cal at 10, like that's a lot of home runs right now.
Just a quick aside on Suarez, though. He hit 4 homers in the opening series against the Cubs. Then he went ice cold for like three weeks, really, and then he has a 4-homer game. So he's hit 8 of his 10 homers within 5 games.
Yeah, that's kind of just how he works, though. Like his 40-homer season was very much like that too.
I don't think there's another more like hot and cold player in the league than him.
Bryce Harper?
I don't think so. Bryce Harper's like baseline is like good, you know.
That's fair. I guess Gino's baseline is pretty rough.
His baseline is literally he's going to get 5 hits and 50 at bats.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
fair.
that's not his baseline. That's like that's what can happen to him.
But yeah, but for Torque to be at 8 right now and
Yeah.
not have the pedigree in the major league level that Gino does, and Gino is one of these guys that's very hot and cold, but he's one. I think he's the first Venezuelan hitter to have a 40 homer season. Was that what it was?
A 40 homer season?
Yeah, when he was with the Reds, I think he was the first Venezuelan born player to
I
have.
don't know.
But like, he has a home run pedigree. He has a major league pedigree of being an above average hitter. Torque has been, I think it's safe to say he's been pretty bad at the major league level up to now.
I would agree. Other than the short stretch at the end of 23 when it looked like he had kind of figured things out, other than that, it's been pretty bad. I would agree.
So to see him on that list is pretty spectacular, and I'm really excited to see if he can keep this up. Now, some of the other guys in this Detroit team that have been kind of outperforming where I thought they would be, their young catcher, second round pick, I believe the same year that they picked Torque. Was Torque the 2020 draft, or was he the?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So their second round pick that same year, Dylan Dingler, is their starting catcher now, and he is also hitting incredibly well. He's 119 WRC plus. He's hitting 275. He's slugging about 478. So 3 homers, and just he's looking really, really good. Whenever Riley Green is not in your top 5 hitters, means your hitters are usually doing pretty good. Now Riley,
pretty interesting.
Riley has started a little slow.
He has, yeah, and he's striking out like 33% of the time, so that's something to keep an eye on. Probably will change. I'm not really worried at this point. But yeah, impressive that the Tigers offense, which has for years and years been a weak point, is really producing this year, all around. And I noticed that Javier Baez, I'm not calling it a comeback. He's hitting 300 this year. He's got no power to speak of, but he's making more contact, and he's like producing out of the 9 hole basically.
Don't look at his BABIP. It's a bit inflated.
Yeah, I mean,
which makes sense if he's not hitting for any power whatsoever and is hitting 270. Where'd it go? 286.
Yeah.
So
kind of weird. He's remade himself, but he's been so bad for multiple seasons now that anything they get from him is kind of a bonus.
Yeah. And then their pitching staff has started to settle in. I know at the very beginning of the season, at least that first start, Tarek was looking.
That was the Dodgers.
That's true, but we're seeing Casey Mize pitch phenomenally so far this year, which we've discussed already. You've got Jack Flaherty, who's continuing to do Jack Flaherty things, be a very solid number 2, number 3, somewhere in there. Reese Olson has been pitching well. Tarek Skubal is a Cy Young. So like, their pitching staff is keeping them in these games as well. So it's not like it's
good. Yeah.
It's not like they're just boom or bust. It's they're hitting well, they're pitching well. There's a reason they're 18-10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, I'm trying to remember, neither one of us actually picked the Tigers to win the division, right?
I think I picked the Twins, and that's like, they're like one of the most disappointing teams this year.
Yeah. Is it safe to change my
You're ready to change
my guess here?
Who do you think you picked?
Did
you pick the Twins or
the Guardians? Probably.
Oh, the Guardians, yeah.
I think I picked the Royals to finish 4th.
Oh yeah, we were both kind of low on the Royals this year.
And I mean, I think we pretty much we're
nailing it so far.
That. Yeah. So, oh well. But I think we also need to give a little bit of love here to the San Francisco Giants, who are kind of doing similar things to the Tigers, but one of their key additions this offseason one of the biggest moves they've made in years, bringing in Willie Adames. He's done nothing. He's down at the bottom of the hitting leaderboards as far as like WAR and WRC plus and everything. Willie Adames, 5th least WAR in the majors this year at minus 0.6. He has a 56 WRC plus, which bests only 16 players. The most notable of those 16, I would say, is probably Marcus Semien, and then a whole bunch of young guys that I'm not surprised are struggling. So
yeah, I guess I'll ask you about the Giants, because I'm a bit confused by the Giants. Nobody is doing anything super standout, but it's obviously resulting in them winning games. It doesn't seem like it's their offense that's doing, because they're kind of middle of the pack overall. And then their pitching, I don't know exactly where they fall on the leaderboard, but they don't strike me as a team that's blowing the doors off. I know Logan Webb has been pretty good. But outside of him, who is propelling the Giants to first place at the end of April?
So I really think that it is mostly their pitching staff. Because they've only allowed 105 runs so far, which is kind of top third in the league. Like, it's not the best by any means. There's a couple teams that are still in the 80s as far as runs allowed. But they're getting enough offensive production from Young-Hoo Lee, Matt Chapman, Mike Yastrzemski, and Tyler Fitzgerald. And then 7 home runs from Wilmer Flores.
That was so random. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had like 5 of those in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. So those 5 guys are kind of leading the pack, and they're winning by a run or 2 a game. Like, it's not like they're all 1-run games, because so I don't know. I don't quite get it. I think it's just a combination of 3.52 team ERA, which is not helped out by Justin Verlander or Landon Rupp right now. They are actually very much struggling. But the bullpen is keeping them in games.
Yeah.
In fact, Lou Trevino is the only reliever over a 4 ERA.
Actually, now that you mention it, just thinking about the makeup of their rotation, I know Verlander's had 2 pretty good starts his last 2 times out. But other than Logan Webb, like I mentioned, it's Verlander, Jordan Hicks, Robbie Ray, and Landon Rupp, who have all been pretty bad. So it almost has to be the bullpen that's somehow like keeping them competitive, and they're pulling these games out.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden Birdsong in 6 appearances is at 13 relief innings. And he's only allowed a 1.38 ERA. Eric Miller in 11 appearances, only given up 1 run in those 9 innings. Camilo Doval has looked pretty good this year so far. Not striking out very many guys, but he's getting it done still. In 12 innings, he's walked 10% of batters and struck out 17%.
Yeah, it's not great.
Which is low.
That's really weird for him. So he seems different. But I guess long now, what I'm kind of inducing here is that just this seems sort of like a mirage. Like, their current record doesn't seem like it is going to hold. Not that the Giants can't be good, because they're probably going to get better performances from their pitchers, and they're going to get Willie Adames to start to hit. But I don't know. I'm not buying the Giants right now.
So right now, I think the Giants are getting really, really lucky with overall like team BABIP as far as the pitchers are concerned, and defensive placement, because all of their pitchers have fielding independent pitching scores of like 5 to 6 ERA, or the equivalent, I guess. But yeah, like they're definitely outperforming where they should be. They're giving up a lot of contact, but it's being gobbled up by guys like Matt Chapman, guys like Young Hoo Lee, guys like Tyler Fitzgerald at shortstop. Like they're getting really good defensive play, and I think that has been a significant factor for them.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because we did note the Giants as being a team that has great defense because they have Chapman and Adamas
I
and
think I just said Tyler Fitzgerald is the shortstop. That's definitely Willie Adames. Tyler Fitzgerald is at second, I think.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. Um. So my bad on the misspeak there. I was thinking last year.
Okay, now you got to let me talk about the Cubs.
No.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay, Cubs. So Cubs are doing well through April. They're 17-11, and they've got the most runs scored in baseball. And they have not done it against like easy opponents either, because the teams they've played so far this season, they played the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the A's, the Padres, the Rangers, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, and the Phillies. Okay. That's literally the hardest schedule any team will play this season by strength of schedule for 2024. And they've managed a 17-11 record with the most runs scored in Major League Baseball. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. I'm surprised that this has happened because it's like the same, it's basically the same team as last year with the addition, one big addition of Kyle Tucker. And he has looked like a superstar. I hope they sign him one of these days. He's going to get a massive, massive deal. He looks so, um, it just looks easy when he plays baseball. Like everything he does, there's no panic in him. And um, he's just consistently producing like a superstar for this team. And they're like in a really good spot because they made it through the gauntlet stretch by not um, falling like under 500. If they had finished 500 through the stretch, I would have said, great, looks good. But now they're like in a position of strength. And now they follow up the hard month with literally the easiest month that any team will play in Major League Baseball this season by strength of
Because
schedule.
they're just going to play the NL Central
They're
basically the entire time.
Well, no, they got like 2 series against the Marlins. They got a series against the White Sox.
Oh.
Um, so they have a real chance to go into the summer months with a significant lead if they can keep up their play.
Yeah,
Um,
and the rest of the NL Central has been playing quite a bit against each other. And most teams are floating around 500. Like the Cardinals are 4 games below, the Pirates are 6 games below, but the Brewers and the Reds are right there around 500. So yeah, if the Cubs can take advantage of this next month, and they'll have a pretty hefty lead there after the next month.
it's possible, yeah.
And I mean, they very much deserve it. Their pitching has been holding together as well without Justin Steele, which was a huge loss. So Ben Brown has been starting some games here now, or was he always in the rotation this year, or was he the replacement for Steele?
He did start the rotation to start the year. They've got Colin Ray taking starts that Steele was now.
I guess I
And
forgot
he's been
Colin
doing
Ray was
well.
on the Cubs.
Yeah, he just signed with them this year. So,
Okay, but
and
yeah.
then how else are they doing it? Pete Crow Armstrong. That's how they're doing it.
Oh,
Uh,
I did have one more comment about Kyle Tucker before we move to Pete Crow.
yeah, go ahead.
Remember how I've been on Kyle Tucker MVP watch for the last like 6 years?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, still.
it kind of feels like this could be the year. Yeah,
Yeah, especially if Shohei doesn't go on an absolute tear here and then replicate his 50-50,
yeah.
then
They're-
it feels like it's going to be Tucker, or right now it could be Tatis too.
Could be Tatis. Yeah, I was gonna say he kind of looks like
And Corbin Carroll.
up there, and Corbin Carroll. Yeah, there's some very good candidates in the National League right now. But this is just boggling my mind that Pete Crow Armstrong is literally 4th in Major League Baseball in F4 with 1.9. Obviously, some of that comes from defense, and it's just insane to watch this guy play center field. He makes very difficult plays look extremely easy. Just the jumps he gets on balls. He is the best center fielder, I think, in the league right now.
So I I would liken Pete Crow now to, remember like 2022, 2023 Harrison Bader
Yeah.
defensively?
Yep.
I would liken him to that and better. And
Better. Yeah.
that was one of the best defensive center field play that we've seen in years, was that Harrison Bader, and Pete Crow makes him look just pedestrian.
Yeah. It's crazy to watch, and what he does on the bases. I think he's leading baseball in stolen bases. He's got 12 already.
Yep.
And then the surprising part, the power, 5 home runs in April here, and it came after a kind of a slow start. And if you look at like batted ball numbers, he's not like crushing the ball, but he's clearly doing something right because he's able to get to his pull power, and he's getting some balls out. And
And he's got enough speed that even if he doesn't put the ball over the fence, he can easily take that extra base.
oh yeah, yeah, and he's got like near the league in doubles so far. It's been
I
like
think
night and day compared to what he's shown so far.
I'm a little bit surprised that he doesn't have a triple yet. Or does he
Oh, does
have?
he not have a triple? I
I
thought
don't.
he had like one.
He
But
might have one, but he's not showing up on the leaderboards for triples at all. Um, but I kind of figured with his speed right now he'd be somewhere around like the Jaron Duran, Byron Buxton, like 2 to 3 triples at this point. But
yeah,
yeah, but Pete Crow has 9 doubles on the season, and there are 4 guys tied for the lead with 11. So
yeah.
curious how
So
many
that
infield singles he has too.
he's laid down a few bunts for hits. He does that from time to time. But it's like there's still clear flaws in his game. Like he's not a disciplined hitter. He swings outside the strike zone a lot. Um, but right now it's clearly working for him. And even if he falls back to earth, which he will, he's still got the defense and the base running to fall back on. And he's a great player.
Yeah. Now I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to go look at one more team. Um, And then I think after we talk about this last team, I think I want to go and specifically look at leaderboards of just
Okay.
individual players. And unfortunately, we have to do this. We did talk about the best teams in the league, so we
Yeah.
are going to have to talk about the worst team in the league. And I would like to preface this with, last year we saw the worst team in baseball history, the 121 lost Chicago White Sox. They were abysmal's not even the strong enough word. They were a black hole inside of a black hole inside of a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Yet the 2025 Colorado Rockies make them look good, not competent, good. The Colorado Rockies through today are 4-23. That is on pace for 137 losses.
Oh my goodness.
There was a time where there wasn't even 140 games in a season.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Where do we even start with this team? They're just
I think I want to start with the good. And
right.
that's got a very heavy asterisk on it. But they have gotten some really good play out of Jordan Beck since they called him up. Jordan Beck has 5 home runs, 4 stolen bases. He's hitting 256.
He hit 4 of the home runs over the weekend, or Thursday and Friday, I think.
Yeah, like, he's playing well. Then it gets real bad real quick. I guess I shouldn't say that. Brenton
Hunter
Doyle
Goodman.
is solid. Brenton Doyle is exactly kind of who we thought he would be, a league average hitter with good defense. And then Hunter Goodman has been pretty good. And after that, yikes. Mickey Moniak is the only other position player with positive WAR. And then when you're looking at the batting stats leaders on Fangraphs, it starts putting pitchers in there because everyone else is negative WAR. So, like, Toglia has not been it yet. He's almost an entire game of WAR in the hole. Chris Bryant, half a game in the hole. Tyler Freeman, 0.4 games in the hole. Veen, who's only played in 12 games.
And he got sent back down. So it's like they haven't stuck with the prospect type guys either. They somehow are deluding themselves into thinking they're competitive. Because even before Jordan Beck broke camp like with the club, he played badly. He got sent back down, and then he came back up, and then he hit 4 home runs in 2 games.
Yeah. When Jacob Stallings is a top 5 hitter for you, but
he's a top 5 hitter for them.
He's a top 5 hitter for them.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's not even where this team struggles the most, which is wild. Didn't they play like a crazy amount of the first month on the road?
Yeah, they played. I don't know if it was a crazy amount.
Well, so in the first like 2 or 3 weeks, they played a majority on the road. They only had like 1 series at home, and they had played like 12 games on the road. Now they've played 15 games on the road so far. They are 1-14 in road games. They are 3-9 at home.
Yeah.
Like, they can't even squeak out wins where gravity is normal.
But that's always been the problem, though. They've always been horrible on the road.
I know, but it's not like they were. It's not like they were doing the back and forth. They were just always on the road.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't get the first road trip of the season. They should not have had as much trouble as they did because they didn't have to combat the effects of Coors Field, like leaving Coors Field.
Yeah,
they're just bad.
They literally went from Arizona because they're Cactus League, right? Yeah. Yep. So they went Arizona straight onto the road.
Yes.
It should have been a pretty consistent, maybe a little bit colder, but a pretty consistent feel for the pitchers as spring.
Yeah, and we're seeing
they played even worse.
The thing that I'm noticing is like road pitchers that are going up against the Rockies are going into Coors Field and they're dominating. Like they're literally, I think Nick Lodolo struck out 9 at Coors Field today. They're not even having the advantage at home either. They're getting just dominated everywhere.
Yeah, and it's not like you could sit here and go, oh, well, they're just getting incredibly unlucky, because I'm scrolling through and they've only got like Tyler Freeman, who's only got 16 plate appearances. He's the only dude who's like, whose BABIP is outside of like that 260 to 360 range that's relatively normal.
And it's only 16 plate appearances.
And so it's only 16 plate appearances. But like everyone else is in that it's relatively normal range. In fact, Jacob Stallings is getting lucky. Like, this isn't a team that's just struggling because the baseball gods don't want them to win. This is a team that's struggling because they just suck. Period.
Yes.
Like, and they're not even trying. Like, the White Sox last year didn't exactly try. I'm not going to give them...
Wait, what do you mean they're not trying? They are trying. They're trying as hard as they can.
Well, the front office wasn't really trying. The players were.
I don't know. I feel like they are. They're trying. The Rockies are always trying.
No,
every year. The Rockies always try. They never rebuild, and they never do anything different.
I mean,
They're
it's
just the
kind of
same
hard to
team.
rebuild from there not even being a house. That would just be building.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an untouched lot. There's never been anything there.
I suppose. Yeah.
But I don't know. This is just wild to me. But like looking through their team ERA is 5.22. They've got multiple guys, three actually, that have at least 8 innings and an ERA above 7.5.
Yeah. Herman Marquez 930 in 20 innings.
Chase Dolander, unfortunately, because I think he is really good, but Chase Dolander in 19 and a third, 7.91. Luis Peralta in 8 and a third relief innings, a 7.56. Yeah, Herman Marquez, 20 and a third, 9.3. Like, Ryan Feltner is their, like, far and beyond ace right now.
He's not bad. He would actually be good like on another team, I'm pretty sure.
That's probably fair. Like, but like when he's the ace and he's got a 386 and a 471 FIP and he's only striking out 19% of batters and walking 10, like none of those numbers are good.
All right, let's talk about something else. I have nothing else to say about this team.
Okay, let's go to the major league leaderboards because I think this is where things get fun. And I want to start with stolen bases because we have an interesting, I wouldn't say it's an unsuspected grouping of guys that are leading the stolen base leaderboards, but we have a pretty tight grouping here in the top 5. We have 5 players with 9 or more steals right now. We have 11 with 8 or more steals. But the guys leading it up top, O'Neal Cruz and Pete Crow Armstrong, both with 12. And then Ellie De La Cruz has 11, and Victor Scott of the Cardinals has 9. Notice anything in common with those 4 guys?
They're all in the same division.
They're all in the same division, which means
And if you look a little bit further, there's Kyle Tucker too.
Kyle Tucker, Bryce Terang has 8 steals. Like, the NL Central is going to be it's a track and field event is what it's looking like. By the way, right
the 3 of the NL Central teams are actually in the top 5 in baseball in stolen bases, and the Cubs are like outpacing the league. They've got 44 steals. The next team is the Brewers with 36.
Who's the third team in the? Is it the Reds?
It's the Pirates because of O'Neal Cruz. They've got 34 and they're 4th.
Oh. Where are the Cardinals and the Reds at?
The Reds are 7th and the Cardinals are 12th.
Okay. Which that makes sense because really outside of Victor Scott, Mason's not stolen a whole lot of bases yet because he's still dealing with his back issue. Jordan Walker has 2 steals. I think there's a couple other guys that have 2 or 3, but no, but
yeah, O'Neal Cruz is pretty crazy to me. Like he's huge. If you've seen the man, like he's basically kind of judge size in terms of height. Maybe not as big, but extremely fast, and not just fast, a proficient base stealer. He has now been caught 1 time in the last 2 seasons, and he's got 34 stolen bases and 1 caught stealing.
That actually goes to the next point I was going to make. The guys that are the top 5 here, 2 of them have yet to be caught this year, and that's O'Neal Cruz and Victor Scott. Jarren Duran and Ellie have both been caught twice. And Pete Crow has been caught once. But like that's an elite group of base stealers right there.
I think right now it just feels like base stealing is really easy in the league. Yeah. I don't know what they can really do to combat that, but
I have an idea. Let's shrink the bases.
Shrink the bases 15 inches, right? That sounds perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know where that idea came from.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But
well, it's good to see that Ellie actually only has 2 caught stealings because he was the leader in caught stealings last year. So maybe he's getting a little more choosy, a little more efficient.
Yeah. Now, another one of the leaderboards that I think is kind of interesting here, and it's not like the most interesting. There's just one factoid that I have that I would like to throw out here. So let's take a look at it. That's the walks leaderboard. So Ozuna, Matt Chapman, Bryce Harper, Rafi Devers,
26%?
El Schwarber, Lars Nootbaar, Kyle Tucker, Geraldo Perdomo, Randy Rosarena. 9 guys have walked 20 times or more so far this season. But can you tell me which one of those 9 guys has set a major league record in his 20 plus walks so far this year?
In terms of like the number of walks.
Yes. So there's a very
Oh,
specific.
I think it's Ozuna because I just saw his walk rate is 26%.
It is not.
Okay.
So this is a very specific walks record. It is walks, leadoff walks in the months of March and April.
Saw that. Nootbaar.
Lars Nootbaar has 10 leadoff walks. Has been on base 10 times to start a game without having to even make contact. And he's in the top 5 for just walks in general this year. Like that is a wild feat. Just being on base as often as he is. Like he has a 402 OBP. He's not the like biggest average guy. Never has been. But he's walking at a higher clip than he has ever walked in his career at 18%. That is a crazy amount of walks. And for him to be doing that as a leadoff hitter and basically setting the tone for the rest of the lineup to just take pitches and frustrate that pitcher from the very beginning has been kind of key for the Cardinals to get the 12 wins that they do have. So
what do you think about Ozuna walking at 26%? That's so interesting to me because he has a very lengthy track record and he's never walked anywhere near this rate. Like he's had a couple 10s, 11, 14%. This year's 26, and it's not like he's not hitting either because he's still hitting 311, 490, 541. He's still crushing the ball.
With 5 home runs and
yeah, like he's doing normal Ozuna stuff, but he's doing it with lots of walks too, and that's it's interesting.
I would be curious to see his monthly splits by year because I vaguely remember that he walked more early just in general.
But this is like doubling up the highest he's ever had, which is remarkable.
21, he had 12 walks in the first month. 22, he had I might be very wrong. He only had 4 in 22. Here we go. 2023. No, that is home. That is not in the first month.
I don't think you're going to find any signal there, to be honest.
Nah, I'm not. It seemed like a good thought, and then it fell apart quite quickly.
Yeah, but I guess what would explain that? That why would he do that?
He just hasn't got aggressive yet. But he seems like one of those guys to me that when I watch him, it's like as soon as he starts like really ripping the ball, then he just wants to hit it every time.
Yeah.
But like early on, he's just kind of sitting patient, waiting for pitches, and then.
But to me, it doesn't look somehow, even though he's walking 26% of the time, it doesn't seem like he's being overly passive because he's doing damage with the times where he is swinging it. So I guess good for him.
Yeah. That is wild though. 26% of the time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Let's look here at maybe some pitching numbers. Can you tell me who? I assume you probably just pulled up the pitching leaderboard, didn't you?
I'm not looking at it.
Okay. Can you tell me the top 2 pitchers in WAR so far?
Paul Skeens,
Number 1.
uh, Jesus Luzardo.
Number 2.
Oh, nice.
So both of those guys have started out phenomenally. Skeens had,
Yep.
I think, the first game ever where he gave up more than like, was it 4 earned runs or 5 earned runs?
I think like 4 runs. Yeah.
And that was to the Cardinals here a couple weeks ago. But even with that, the first time that he gave up 4 earned runs, he's rocking a 2.39 ERA, an even better FIP. His average fastball so far this year has been 98.4 mile per hour. And he's pitched, I believe, a league, not a league leading. He is 1 inning behind the league leader for innings pitched so far this year through 6 starts. He is averaging over 6 innings a start. And the only guys who have pitched deeper into games are Seth Lugo and Luis Severino. And Lugo is by exactly 1 batter, or 1 out, I guess, multiple batters. But yeah, Paul Skeens is insane.
Yeah, he's the best pitcher in the league, I would say, and he kind of was expected to be the best pitcher in the league, and he's doing exactly what he was supposed to.
It kind of feels like the Cy Young is his to lose.
Yeah.
Like, because Wheeler's not exactly having the hot start that he usually does. He's given up quite a few runs here early. He is getting a lot of strikeouts, but he's given up quite a few home runs. And kind of the same thing with Seth Lugo on the home run front. Definitely not the strikeouts. But I don't know. I am pretty pleased to see Hunter Green performing as well as he has been, though.
Yeah, he's been impressive. He's the one guy that has a higher fastball velocity than Paul Skeens on average,
Mm-hmm.
and he has looked like the ace that he was always uh, supposed to become, but he hadn't really fully put it together. And last year was his best season, but he kind of got lucky with home runs and stuff, and that still might become a bugaboo for Hunter Green. But right now, he's just kind of like blowing the doors off with his fastball.
So Paul Skeens and Hunter Green have been awesome. And Paul Skeens, I think we both agree, is the best pitcher in baseball right now. However, there is a guy who might be giving him a run for his money right now. And that would be the young Japanese phenom, Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yoshi, through 6 games, 34 innings pitched, is striking out a massive number of players. I believe he is at 43 strikeouts this year so far, which is a what's his percentage there?
32.6.
32.6% of batters. There are only 5 starters that are striking out more than that. One of them I've already mentioned in Zach Wheeler. And then you've got Logan Gilbert, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball, I would argue.
He's
as well.
unfortunately injured now.
Ooh, I forgot about that. But then 3 young guys who I think are really interesting to see on this list. Cole Reagans, who I fully believe that. He's incredible. And he's kind of started building himself a track record the last 2 years. But Mackenzie Gore striking out 37% of batters, and Max Meyer striking out 34% of his batters. Those are the 2 guys that I didn't necessarily expect to see up at the strikeouts leaderboard here for starting pitchers.
I guess with Gore, I'm not surprised about the strikeouts. I'm more impressed that he's keeping the walks under control, because that was his big thing. Last year, it was like he walked 9% of guys. This year, it's down to 6. He always had decent like strikeout stuff, and now all his pitches are kind of working for him. Yeah, it seems like a big breakout for this year.
So who's the pitcher right now that you're the most, I don't want to say surprised by, most impressed by? That could
I'm
be
pretty
it
impressed
could
by.
be a guy that's outperforming, or it could be a guy that's doing exactly what we thought.
I I think the next guy the guy you mentioned on that's high on this list, Max Meyer, is really impressive because he's coming off um, the major surgery. He was not super impressive last year in his return, so it was like, okay, is this guy ever gonna be the top 3 pick in the draft that he was drafted as? And this year he is every bit of that, and it's good for the Marlins because now they've got a guy that could potentially be there for a long time and
It
be.
it gives them a little bit more of a an ability to trade Sandy, which they
Yeah,
need to do. Period. But trading Sandy, you don't feel like you've just taken away all of the hopes and dreams of your franchise
yeah. Is Max
because you
Meyer an
have Max
ace?
Meyer.
Yeah,
I really think he might be. And as soon as Edward Cabrera is back going strong, and Yuri Perez, who I think is out with Tommy John this year, is that right?
yeah. He'd probably come back in late summer.
Um, but once you get those guys back, if they start pitching up the way that they were before they went down with injuries, then you have a really, really good young rotation for Miami and something to build around. Which I mean would be the second time in the last couple of years they've had exactly that, and they didn't exactly build around it the first time. But they do have quite a few high prospects. Um, what's Joe Mack? Is he? How's he been doing?
I don't have a clue. Sorry.
You know who Joe Mack is, though, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I feel like he's probably their biggest prospect right now, isn't he?
They have a
Uh,
lot of We talked about these Marlins prospects that are like more the teenager type that are high upside, very far away from the majors, and it makes sense with their rebuilding timeline right now.
yeah, Noble Meyer, Dylan Head, which I think Dylan Head is on the injured list now. I think he just got hurt last week.
And then there's Starlin Kaba, who is part of that Lazardo deal over the offseason. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to go up and catch a Sky Carp game and see some of these young guys up in Beloit. But
You can come to Cedar Rapids. They play here.
oh, that's true. I do need to come out and see you. Let's see, what other leaderboards do you want to look at?
Let's look at a laggard board. Like pick one and go to the bottom of it. That might
Pick a
be interesting.
pick a what?
Laggard board. The opposite of leaderboard.
Oh, okay. Pitchers or hitters?
Pitchers. Let's do one more pitcher one.
All right. Tanner Houck.
Oh, what is he lagging in?
He is the second highest ERA out of qualified pitchers.
Okay. Yeah.
It is a
I think Tanner Houck
7.58.
I think Tanner Houck the other week he had like one of the worst starts by a Red Sox pitcher I think since like the 20s. It was so bad. I think he might have given up like 9 or 11 runs in 3 innings or something. It was rough. And I actually watched Tanner Houck the other day. I think it was Friday. He I don't know. He doesn't look quite the same as he did at the beginning of last year, where he was just looking like a kind of breakout. He just doesn't have the same sweeper. I don't know. It's like he's getting crushed by lefties. It doesn't look good for Tanner Houck.
Yeah, I'm looking at this ERA lagger board now, and there's some guys in here that I'm a little bit surprised to see.
Nola, yeah,
Nola, Dylan
Dylan
Cease,
Cease, Zach Gallen, Chris Sale. What's going on?
Tanner Bybee,
Yeah,
Verlander.
yeah. And I guess this is a good place to end up because at the end of the day, we're only 1/6 of the way through the year. All these
Yeah,
things are going to change,
like
and
at most, these guys have 6 starts under their belt. The guys that stay healthy the whole year will get what, 31, 32, somewhere around there.
I think Dylan Cease might be the biggest example of this. Just looking at like the FIP and the difference between his FIP and his ERA, it's massive.
Yeah,
The FIP's 3.13,
and
the ERA's 5.76.
oddly, Kyle Freeland is right there with him.
Yeah,
In fact, Kyle Freeland's is even more of a disparity.
poor guy.
Yeah, he really needs to get out of Colorado. I really think he could be something somewhere else.
I think he would be pretty good outside of Coors.
But Bybee is somehow pitching better with the defense behind him. By a lot. Like, he's got a 5.19 ERA and a 7.23 FIP. I think that might be the worst FIP in the league. Let me confirm that. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Narrowly beating Sean Burke.
Okay. I was kind of excited for Sean Burke. He is not impressed so far.
Yeah, that first start was really good.
That was it, yeah.
Because was Sean Burke the Rule 5 guy from Milwaukee, or was that Shane Smith?
That was Shane Smith.
Okay. Their names are too similar, Sean and Shane, that I can't remember which one's which. Pretty soon it'll be Sean Smith.
Yeah.
But all right, let's go ahead and look at one more lagger board. We're going to go into some of the advanced statistics for hitters. And Jackson Chourio, the least patient player in Major League Baseball, walking 1.6% of plate appearances. I believe that would be 2 walks, period. I think.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, he doesn't need to walk when he hits the way he does, but obviously it hinders the OBP and ability to like steal bases and stuff like that. But he's clearly a very aggressive hitter, and he's still producing really well. It's just like, I assume that, I mean, walk rate is something that can be developed. The other stuff is less easy.
Yes, I would agree. The reason that it really stands out to me is because he does have so many incredible tools that just being a little bit more patient and letting some of these trash pitches go by, because he's not a huge strikeout guy. He's only striking out 24% of the time. It's not
average.
It's not incredibly high. It's not incredibly low, but being just a little bit more choosy on some of these pitches would allow him, in that massive amount of power that he's got in that frame, to take that 534 slug and push it up into like a 650 slug. Like, I think that's the thing that I'm looking at with Chourio and hoping that he could fix. Now, a guy that's also down here on this list that I think is a completely different situation, and there's actually 2 of them, Jacob Wilson and Michael Massey. These are guys that don't have the sheer natural ability that Jackson Chourio does.
I've been super impressed by Jacob Wilson. Like, by the way, I just noticed 4.9% K rate, 1.9% walk rate.
Mm-hmm.
That is like
he makes an insane amount of contact.
We like to make Luis Arraez comps, and this guy is maybe closer than anybody, but he also does maybe some more interesting stuff than that Luis Arraez can't do. Like, he's gotten to 3 home runs already. He's fast. He's a good defender.
I was going to say, he's got speed, so putting the ball on the ground is going to lead to some more hits than it would for Arraez.
Yeah. And I don't know. It seems like it's working. This profile works for him, and it's cool.
And I'm trying to remember. He's a plus defender at short throughout his minor league career, correct?
I think so, yeah.
And it looks like he's not doing too bad so far this year defensively. Which, being a rookie, I wouldn't be surprised if he made some errors and things. He's which so far he has 4 errors on the season. But he does have 9 double plays. And where's the advanced fielding? Here we go. This is what I was looking for. He does have -7 DRS right now. So I think that's something that'll come with time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he can keep that Arise offensive profile and then be a good defender, then you just take what Luis Arise's main thing is, and then you've made it so much better. Because Arise is not a good fielder at all. The man should not be on the baseball field when his team is pitching, period.
And I've seen all of Jacob Wilson's home runs now, and I have been impressed because I'm like, wow, this guy's got some juice in his bat. He's not just trying to like slap at the ball and hit singles. Like he can turn on a pitch and drive it out, which is a difference.
Yeah, so I think with him, he doesn't have a massive frame, but he has incredibly quick hands.
Yeah. And
so I think here in a year or two, when he puts on just a little bit more muscle, because he's only 23, but he's 6'2", he puts on a little bit more muscle, he'll probably be in that kind of more of a, I want to say like a
10 to 15.
Yeah, he'd be kind of Mason Wynn-ish.
Yeah. I could see that,
yeah. But with an even better hit tool.
Yeah. But this whole list is pretty interesting. It's the usual suspects, the guys that have the worst plate discipline in the league, like your Jake Berger and your Byron Buxton. And,
I am surprised to see Tommy Edman this far down, though.
Not super surprising because he's a free swinger. Like he can hit everything, so he's going to.
Okay, that's fair.
And you see guys that either are just really undisciplined, or they have the ability to hit everything, like a Wilson or a Edman. Jackson Churio's kind of there, but strikes out a little bit more.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think that's probably where we should call it for this week. But let us know if we missed some of the notable performances from April. If there's any particular stat that jumps out at you for a player, let us know, because I'd be curious to see what you guys think. But that is all we have for you today. We will be back here next week with another episode of Getaway Day. And until then, we will see you. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.